hard.
Well, and if you can understand this, there's the beauty of the entrepreneur, and especially so even when I was in the pastoral world, there's a lot of flexibility through the day. So I could, there are only certain things in both of those worlds where you had to be at a certain place at a certain time. Right. And then I went back into teaching. And there was like 4 minutes to pee between classes. That's all I had.
Yes.
And, and planning periods got squashed and all this stuff. So anyway, I learned a lot about what I didn't, what I remember why I got out of teaching in the first place, which is an interesting deal. But it brought me to a place, and I think that's where the beauty of a couple of fun things here, and this is, there's like 15 different things that I'm doing now, so but it brought me into this place where I didn't feel like I was being as creative as I needed to be in that, in the teaching world. And so, or you couldn't be because there wasn't that much time, honestly. You had these really short periods and it was rough. And so I started this band called the 1985, and so it's 80s band and big hair. And we actually were playing tonight. Thank goodness we got some gigs this weekend. But so we had, so I moved into this new role where I was able to put my creative gifts back into service that I had really, even since Beachbody, and you knew this back in Beachbody world when I was really strong in that, I love doing the creative videos. I love doing the creative teachings. So that was where felt like I was strong, and I didn't feel like I'd use that as much as I wanted to. And so coming back and now using the musicals talents behind that, which is just fantastic. So 80s music has just always been a thing for me. My wife and I both do it together in this band, which is really, really fun. And so that's been has provided that space for me to be creative, which is good. So yeah.
What's so interesting too, and this is why I'm drawn to you. This is why I'm drawn to a lot of the guests that are speaking on my podcast now, is this idea, as Marie Forleo says, being multi-passionate.
Yes.
And we remember probably back in the day, like when our parents, were coming up, and even when we were young, like I didn't see anyone in my town doing anything other than, if you were a female, you were a teacher, you were a nurse, or you just stayed in your little town. There were no entrepreneurs. No one was really leaving the town. No one was doing anything. And this idea of having multiple jobs in your lifetime was not a thing till kind of our generation a little bit.
Yes, totally.
I mean, my father was an engineer. He was in the Navy and he was an engineer.
Yep.
My mother didn't work. And my husband's parents, same, was a banker. And it's this whole idea now that, actually we can like a lot of things. And we can pursue a lot of paths.
Yes.
And we can draw on lots of areas to fulfill all the different pieces of ourselves. And how much better of a life does that let us create?
Oh, totally. And I think before, where loyalty was the strongest thing, which there's some good stuff in loyalty. I don't have any problem with that. And then also pensions and those kind of things that were very, very, so what happened a lot in that, I would imagine, is a lot. And I know my dad was the perfect example of this, living in a miserable job for years and years and years for the pension that he only got to use for about 6 years of his life at the end, which is just crazy. So I just, in terms of following your passion, following your dream, following the things that you feel like you're really wired for, maybe even go as far as called to do, that would be, I just would encourage us all that's those vibes, that path is going to be the path to where your joy is going to come from. And I think you're going to find fulfillment and find maybe some of the things that might be just to kind of light you up and make it be a life that's worth living versus a life that's sort of existing. You know what I'm saying? So,
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Say that again. Say that one more time. Well, that's so good.
When you're when you're following your path towards joy, when the things that bring you joy, you're going to live a life that is worth living, not just a life that's worth existing in. Okay, I don't know if that's the kind of the paraphrase of what I just said. So we're not, good. I don't think we're here to just go through the motions. I think we're here to really, make an impact and to bring, maybe leave this world a little bit better than it was when we arrived. I guess I would hope for that.